Hello! Welcome to the Christchurch Fox Chapel podcast. It's the fastest growing conservative, evangelical, charismatic
Anglican
podcast in the entire Fox Chapel area. Ben, how lovely you sound. Ben's in Ohio today, listening to Neil Young on a loop, and I'm joined by my wife, Kat, and Kris Kann.
Good morning. Hello.
Senior Warden Emeritus of Christchurch Fox Chapel. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Welcome to the studio, ladies.
Thanks.
It's your favourite thing, isn't it?
Favorite thing.
Absolutely.
I love to be front and center.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I would rather be stuffing envelopes and licking stamps, but
Here, alas.
can't say
Yeah, but there's
no.
that rumour, isn't there, that the stamp is made with like crushed bug juice or something, or bits of like horse saliva or something. You shouldn't
Still,
Probably.
be fine. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Unless
Yeah.
you're George Costanza's fiance.
That's right.
Be fine.
Yeah.
We are. I think of Jephthah as the kind of Costanza of the Old Testament.
Yeah.
He's not Phil Collins. He's Costanza.
Costanza.
Yeah,
I think.
definitely.
Or maybe Kramer.
No, Kramer would have found a way around it.
Oh yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
Kramer wouldn't have got himself into this fix. Seinfeld would.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But George would have gotten caught.
Yes,
Yeah.
George would get caught.
Yeah.
To something. So we love story, and we love. I think the reason why that show about nothing was so popular was that it showed people getting themselves into hot water, and they really didn't need to be in the hot water.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this is this dude. This is Jephthah. Third week now on this character. And P.S. We don't really know how to say his name. It's probably Jephthah or something, and not a J. But it doesn't matter. And but he gets himself into Costanza-like situations. I think you've done really well with that idea.
I was going to say, right, how would we have known that was going to make its way through this? But
I wish I could play the Seinfeld theme tune, but I can't even remember it. Don't know how it went. No one knows.
that's true. Oh,
Dun, 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 dun.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
good
it.
one. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
All right.
Good at some stuff.
Thanks.
All right, so this is weird. We're in chapter 11, verse 29, and we've got this guy, and I think we've well established that he's not the right sort of a guy. So, they said, let's choose a man for ourselves, and they look around for a guy who's got all the heroic qualities that they would expect, instead of actually asking God to provide for them the man that God would have chosen. So it all looks pretty terrible. And then we get verse 29, the Spirit of the Lord was upon Jephthah. So that's weird. Any thoughts at all about what's going on? Why the Spirit would be falling on a guy who is wrong? Any ideas?
Not a clue.
Really?
Yeah,
Nothing.
No. It's weird, isn't it?
Mm-mm.
It's totally weird.
it is weird. I mean, only that, God uses people and
Everyone.
circumstances all the time that don't seem to add up, or so this could be one more example. But then he is quoted later in the New Testament as being a man who did great things by faith.
Right. That's really good. So, because neither Ben nor I had spotted that at all, and Jenna mentioned it to Ben the other day, and now you mention it. This is really interesting, right? So he's in Hebrews,
Yeah,
the Hall of Heroes,
right,
and he's given a glowing summary.
right.
Yeah.
So how does that add up?
Well, what do we take from that, right? So, I mean, we have this a lot, don't we? In, say, the Book of Kings, like you go through this, he did this, he did this, he did this, and sometimes it was good, sometimes it was bad, and then the king is just summarized, right? He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, or he did what was right in the eyes of the Lord. He walked in the way of King David, or he walked in the way of, Ahab. And it's interesting. So we get this summary, yes or no, heaven, hell, good, baddie, but it sort of almost glosses over the realities of our life. So, yeah, when he's described as a hero, that does not mean he was perfectly good all the time.
Right. Which is impossible for any of us. But
Right.
Yeah.
Which is hopeful, actually.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Why is that hopeful? Why is it good?
Because we're all idiots.
Yeah.
We're just sinners who are completely messed up, who screw up in the day-to-day and have little victories that we continue to try to have through the Spirit of the Lord in us. But I mean, I don't want anyone to take a fine tooth comb to my life.
Right.
And I'm grateful that that we serve a God who loves us and who sees us as our best.
Mm-hmm. No, I do. I find it hopeful as well and comforting because of everything that you said. I mean, every moment, there's a chance, and a lot of times I choose the wrong one and mess up. So it is comforting. And then you look at, David, who certainly wasn't perfect and was described as a man after my own heart, by the Lord. So it is hopeful and comforting in that respect. But I also find it like a warning, to me that, here he seems like a mess up, but it does say that the Spirit of the Lord was on him. And then you have David who, so even when you are filled with the Spirit, you are walking with the Lord. I think all of these things are also a warning that this can happen to you, which we know it can, but it's also, it nails, for me, it rings it home more true when you see these, examples in the Bible that are also walking in the Lord, filled with the Spirit, and then he makes this vow.
Yeah, you don't just arrive and then you're done.
Yeah, right.
You're not flawless now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think this is completely right. I think that's the case. We've got this flawed character who's actually, more than flawed. He's dumb.
Yeah.
And he wasn't the one that was chosen by God. And he does stupid stuff. And even when he sees God do amazing stuff, he does stupid stuff. He keeps doing it. And yet, notwithstanding all of that, he's summarized with a check mark, a smiley face, a green stick, right? And that's because salvation is a digital matter. It's a 1 or a 0. It's a yes or a no, right? And you're either given you're washed with the blood of the Lamb and you're declared righteous as if you were God, with all the holiness of God about you, or not. And okay, so which is it? And evidently, it's the former, which I think is encouraging.
Yeah.
Yeah, God redeems.
Right. And it's not our performance, but our heart, our posture.
Right.
So the Spirit of the Lord was upon Jephthah, and he passed through Gilead and Manasseh and passed on to Mizpah, to Gilead from Mizpah, and then have a fight. So I think we're actually kind of, we heard about the fight last week. I think we're almost going back in time here. I think might be what's happening chronologically. This is like a little remark about the battle we've already heard about. Maybe that makes a bit more sense of what it's doing here. So this is what the lessons we can draw, really, I think, from the battle. And Jephthah's got a great idea, right? He says to the God, so he's praying, that's cool, and he made a vow to the Lord, which is intriguing, on the eve of the battle. If you will give the Ammonites into my hand, then, so it's a if you, then I will this, it's a deal. Then whatever comes out of the doors of my house to meet me when I return in peace from the Ammonites shall be the Lord's, and I will offer it up for a burnt offering. So there's the deal. God, I'll spin the bottle. Whatever comes out of my house, chicken, whatever, I'll kill that. That can be for you if you give me victory. That's the deal. All right. We don't know how it's going to work out yet, but any just ideas on whether, this is human wisdom, right? But any thoughts on whether we should be doing that sort of a thing? Why is he doing it?
And that's the question, right? Why is he doing it?
Yeah.
He's supposedly filled with the Spirit and he has all this courage and he's going forth. And then all of a sudden he's like, does doubt creep in?
It's fear, isn't it? It's got to be fear.
Lack of trust.
I'm afraid that you're not going to do this thing. Yeah. So if you do, give them into my hand. And the thing is that, he could have just stopped, right? Because Hannah promised Samuel to the Lord, if you give me a son, I will give him back to you, right? So if he would have said, I'll offer it, it will be the Lord's, and I will offer a sacrifice. Like there's like,
Oh,
Yeah.
there's a thing where he's getting a little too nervous.
Right.
So he's over promising his end of the deal. Like it really relies on him.
right. Oh, yeah.
And so instead of just going like, I will offer up whatever comes out. And if his daughter came out, like, great, I will offer her to the Lord. Like we will give her into your service. Of course that would be blessed.
She could be a prophet now, or she could
She
be
can
a servant of the
a
Lord in some
servant of
way.
the Lord in some way. And I will offer a burnt sacrifice.
Right,
That would have been absolutely fine.
right.
But I
And
think that fear creeps in even in our prayer life, right? If you would just do this,
I would do that.
then I will do this. And I think we misjudge God's character
Right.
when we overpromise on our end because we think we can manipulate and control him.
Like they did Baal or whatever, right? The manipulation of the gods. I'm going to
Right.
bribe you with blood.
Yeah. And it comes from our own fear.
Right.
And our, like you said, Chris, like the mistrust of God.
So I would say this is one of the prevailing heresies in the church today. Like the heresy is Pelagianism. It's the idea that we earn our salvation or we earn the goodness of God. And semi-Pelagianism is the idea that you initiate God's grace. So I'm going to do this thing for God, and then He is going to respond with some grace. And that is really, as a foundational thesis of Episcopalianism, is that we're going to do a thing, and then God's going to respond, as opposed to the doctrine of grace and prevenient grace, that God initiates and then we follow. So you see that in all sorts of thinking to do with, what is communion? Like, is that going to make me holy? Or what if I'm not wearing the right things, or I don't say the right words? And very quickly, Christianity becomes witchcraft. It just becomes incantations and
Manipulation.
Yeah. So he's thinking along those lines. God may or may not come through for me, so I need to up the stakes. I need to bribe God. I need to put some skin in the game, right? And add something to this equation, and that will motivate God then to give me what I want. And I'm going to use really big language, and I'm going to really put myself on the hook here and just say, look, it's whatever. I still wonder what in his mind he pictures. Like, what does he think is going to walk out of his house? I think it's chicken.
Right.
Maybe sheep. And his fingers crossed, please, not the cow.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's like, come on, please be like a lanternfly. It's just like I'm sure he thinks he's going to
But
get.
he's not thinking at all, because why wouldn't a family member come out to greet you after you've been away?
Right.
Why wouldn't a loved one who you would deeply care about be the first thing to greet you?
Yeah, when a king returned from battle, people would run out into the wilderness to greet the king.
Right. I mean, I just don't understand.
Maybe he was hoping it was like Uncle Colin or someone he just hated. It's like, please let it be Uncle Colin.
Send word ahead.
Sorry, a deal's a deal.
I need to see Uncle Colin at the gate.
Sorry, Cole, gotta go. He's not thinking. I think you're right, love. He's not thinking. Anyway, it sounds pretty holy, doesn't it? Look at this. Oh, wow, I mean, this great vow. Look at me. Sounds holy. Maybe it's not holy. Anyway, Jephthah crossed over to the Ammonites to fight against them. The Lord gave them into his hand. Check, it worked. And he struck them and beat them all up. It's fantastic. Then he came home, verse 34. Could someone just read the horrific sentence for us?
When Jephthah went to his home in Mizpah, there was his daughter coming out to meet him with tambourines and dancing. She was his only child. He had no other son or daughter besides her.
Talk about really emphasizing how bad this is. Like the tambourines, she's so excited. Just think like when our daughters were little, right? Your daughter,
Right.
They would get really excited when Daddy comes home and says, "I've made you a drawing. Here's the thing I've made. Look at this. I brought this home from school." Like there's this. She's just so excited.
So excited
to see him. She was his only child. Okay, that's all the information we need. Besides her, he had neither son nor daughter. Well, yes, that's what only child means. So evidently, we're just twisting the knife here. This is just worse. Just how many different ways can you say it? Emphasize. And as soon as he saw her, he tore his clothes.
I love how he blames her, though.
Ha! How's that?
Yeah.
Alas, my daughter, you have brought me very low, and you have become the cause of great trouble for me. For I open my, like, it's just right back to the garden, blame. Like, oh, this is your fault. You shouldn't have come out. Like, what? It just, it kind of shows his character.
Good spot.
That he didn't say, oh my goodness, this is terrible. What have I done? He said, you have done this. Yeah. You've done this to me. You've brought me very low.
Yeah.
Very good.
Even though she's the one that would die.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow. And you've become a cause of great trouble to me. For I've opened my mouth to the Lord, and I cannot take back my vow. Okay. Is that true or false? And that's a really good question.
Yeah. Yeah. And why does he feel like he can't? Was it fear of the Lord? And like, you know, I made this commitment to him and so it has to stand? Or was it fear of he looks weak if he doesn't follow through?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or is it just a misunderstanding of
who God is?
Of who God is.
Yes.
Like, again, another misunderstanding. Like,
a bigger one.
Really? You can't just go to the Lord and like throw yourself before him and
Humbly.
say,
sorry,
God, I am so sorry. It was a rash vow. I don't know what I was thinking. Is there another way?
Right. Yeah.
You know, please provide another way. I know what you did.
Or to do it humbly in the community, to say, look, I'm going to call the priests. I'm going to, in their community, I'm going to gather the elders and assemble and say, guys, fast with me.
Yep.
I've done something stupid. I need some help. Any bright ideas? And then someone will go, well, there's this funny thing in Leviticus, actually, that says that you can break a vow if to keep the vow is going to cause you to sin.
Yeah.
So now let's scratch our heads. Is child sacrifice something that God likes?
Right.
Absolutely not.
Not so.
So he's going to sin more by keeping the vow.
Right.
Right.
And clearly God isn't going to say, well, a deal's a deal. I'm happy with this. We've done that now.
Right.
What does God do? God substitutes sacrifice.
Right.
Like, Abraham and the ram and Isaac. Right. Like, he substitutes sacrifice. Jesus is the ultimate substitutionary sacrifice. So of course, God could do something about it. And in fact, actually, I think the Levitical code said that if you've made a stupid vow, right, whatever it is, and it's just open, a stupid vow, that's then going to cause you to sin. Then the solution is, one, don't keep the vow, you break it. And two, you atone for breaking the vow with a sacrifice.
Right.
The sacrifice is a chicken.
Right,
so,
an acceptable one.
It's Uncle Colin. So you could it's not Uncle Colin, but you could
George Costanza.
Please let it be. So I think the idea is that you would that God has actually prescribed a solution for exactly this kind of situation. And that is you repent.
Because he knows we are prone to rash talking and talking too much when we shouldn't be.
If you've dug a hole, the first rule is stop digging.
And she was gone for 2 months. Like, he couldn't have thought of something
Figured
in between.
It out in 2 months.
Yeah, I think he could have figured it out if he.
All right, yeah. Okay, well, so let's look at that. She said to him, my father, you've opened your mouth to the Lord. Do to me according what has gone out of your mouth. Now that the Lord has avenged you on your enemies, the Ammonites. So, in other words, she says, I'm cool with it,
Yeah, amazingly.
Really, she should have been in charge.
Exactly.
She probably would have done a better job of it.
Right. I mean, she's looking more at the common good of what just happened for her people.
Yeah.
And, since the Lord did this, then absolutely.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Right.
Leave me alone for 2 months that I may go up and down on the mountains and weep for my virginity. That's interesting. She realizes that she's not going to bear children, that the line will be extinguished, that that it's a calamitous end to their line.
Yeah, to their name. And I like how it says with her friends.
I know. Yeah.
Let me go up and mourn with them.
Yeah.
What he should have done. Really?
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. But it's also not like, true friends are not just there for the good times in a way.
Right,
It's just this community too. It sort of speaks to me and fellowship that let me take them up and they're going to mourn while I mourn and not just be with me in the good times. And
that's real friends, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she's being obedient. She's submitting. He's being foolish and arrogant. And at the end of 2 months, which is a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Notice she doesn't want to be with him.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not going to hang out here. Yeah. I'm going to go with my friends.
And at the end of 2 months, she returned to her father. Just to see that emphasis. It doesn't say Jephthah, it says her father. So just to emphasize that relationship. Her dad, whose job it is to protect. Who did with her according to his vow that he'd made. Just killed her. What an idiot. We called the sermon Stupid Games and Stupid Prizes. If you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a setup of his own. He came up with this.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if one of the things that kind of strikes me from this is that, Jephthah's already learned that God's a God of redemption, right? Because his life was a disaster and he was an outcast. He's brought in. And God has blessed him with victory. So he's seen God bless mistakes and redeem them, right? He's seen God bless the wrong sort of people in the wrong sort of situation and redeem them. And yet it doesn't dawn on him that he could do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if he doesn't know Leviticus, it still doesn't dawn on him that he could maybe just talk to God.
Mm-hmm.
Any more thoughts? Just a withering shake of the head.
Nope. No more thoughts.
Yeah. Because you said it all right there. I mean, and how many times do I do that in my own life where I'm placed in a new situation of struggle and I know he has always been faithful. He's shown up in the past and yet I still have this tendency to want to try to control it on my own and panic instead of, just like you said, oh, I've seen you, you've redeemed me, you've redeemed this situation, you've been here, you're faithful even when I'm not faithful. Our first, and hopefully not our last, but it seems like he never sort of woke up to the fact that, God is always there. God can redeem anything. And he, but sometimes it takes me a while to get, yeah.
And the importance of seeking counsel instead of just going like, well, I did what I did. I guess I gotta, going to godly friends and pastors and mentors and saying, I don't know what to do here. I've messed up or I need help. And then also just returning to the truth of the word and who God is. Like, had he remembered, of course he had known about Abraham, right? And had he thought about the Levitical code, could have easily, instead of just digging his heels in, like, nope, I just made a vow.
Right.
Got to stick with it. The importance of going to the word and reminding ourselves who God is and how he works and how he shows up is really, really important.
Mm-hmm. And there's nothing about prayer here either. As
Right.
you said, go to prayer. There's no prayer.
Yeah.
And even just Ben in his sermon last week said prayer is greater than the plan. So,
Right.
This vow was the plan.
Yeah.
But it wasn't
Prayerfully.
No.
No.
It wasn't in conjunction with God's will and whatever. But if he just would have gone back to prayer, other options would have.
And in his pride, he thinks he's the one that's actually won the battle. I got God to do what I wanted because I was willing to pay the tough price. There's a little bit of pride there as well.
Yeah, and then fear of like, well, what will he do with me? What will he do to me if I don't do this? It wasn't about other. It wasn't about his daughter or the well-being of someone else.
Right.
It was probably selfish. No, he's going to get me if I don't do this. Like, I'd be like, yeah, he can have me. I'll
Save
take
my
the
daughter.
place of my daughter. If you want to get me, I'll do it. But
He doesn't even substitute himself.
Doesn't even offer.
Right.
You know, and how many people over that 2-month period would have been like, hey, I wonder if there's a different way, especially maybe his wife. And, you know, probably must have gone like, no, there's no other way. I was like, okay.
What that 2 months must have been like.
I know.
And so far from God as well.
Yeah.
Do you have people in your life that can call you on bad plans? Do you have people that can say? You do?
Thank God. Yes, I do.
Yeah, she's sitting in front of me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
You do that with each other in women's group. Yeah.
Definitely.
I think that just goes to show the importance of godly counsel, doesn't it? Not just having yes people around that will only say, oh yeah, that's great.
Right.
But are willing to risk the friendship for the sake of speaking the truth.
Yeah, because they want your ultimate good, not just your immediate good.
Right.
Like this is not going to be blessed of God. You have got to change things up.
Right.
You know, because ultimately I want him to, you know, bless you and your family
And that goes back to what you said about not being worried about yourself.
Right.
So you're you know, chancing the relationship or, you know, causing something, but you're not worried, you know, about yourself. You're worried about the other person. Right. And you know it's best for them.
Yeah. Not what will I lose? Like, oh, I might lose this friendship, but what will they lose if they don't see the truth?
Right.
Yeah.
And even a little bit with her, his daughter, you know, she did not have a selfish reaction.
Right.
You know, there's that difference between the two of them.
Well, she's maybe, and this is reading a little too much into it, but she's trying to save her dad. You know, if she, because she also doesn't seem to know this Leviticus thing that if you do something stupid and it's going to make you evil, then you just don't do that, and then you sacrifice it something else. She doesn't know that either. So in her own terms, I think it seems like she's just trying to be obedient or just be good or just even maybe protect her dad, which is kind of funny because the real protector in all of this, then it's been inverted.
Right.
It's the vulnerable.
Right.
Which is, again, another
Always
biblical
the way.
thing. Yeah. Another
right.
thing. Yeah.
At least she got to probably go. She's probably in heaven right after and was like, that idiot.
Right.
You know, like, and God's like, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what's awkward.
Good thing
he's
is-
there as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, but not initially, right? Like when she was sacrificed, she probably was like, "My dad," you know. And the Lord was like, "I don't know, but
how did I turn out?
But hey,
so
you're
well?
here.
Yeah.
Welcome." And she's like, "Thank God, you're a much better father."
Yeah. There you go. That's right. The Heavenly Father doesn't sacrifice his children.
No, he does not.
Sacrifices himself.
So
that's right. Yeah. Well, thank you, ladies. I appreciate it a lot. You know who else appreciates it? Them. These people.
Oh, good.
Oh, they do.
They love you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. It was fun.
We finished the Book of Judges.
Yay!
This is it.
Yep. We're going to do an easier book now. Revelation.
Awesome.
So much easier.
This has been a podcast of Christ Church, Fox Chapel. Thank you for joining us. God bless, and we'll see you all very soon.